Welcome back to Chronicle State of Our Schools, and the title of our program, State of Our Schools. We have to talk about the teacher shortage. How bad is it at your district currently, Dr. Cimarron?
Well, we have needs, absolutely, and I will tell you, I think we may be one of the more fortunate of the group. I don't know. Our openings right now are not in the 10s and 20s. Our highest needs, and Robert alluded to it off camera, and I think all of us will echo that, are special ed teachers. It's a huge need all across the state, and finding the people to fill those positions is in dire straits right now. But one of the other areas that we are having trouble filling are some of the upper level science and upper level math positions. They're just not there. We have right now, and I say that as of like 347, we have 52 first year teachers in our district. Not first year to UConn, but first year. And that takes a lot of effort on the part of districts with mentorship programs, with our curriculum department working with those teachers to make sure that they provide the quality of instruction that our students need.
I had a conversation with the superintendent about 3 or 4 years ago, and this is when the teacher shortage really became a big deal, and made the comment about, we're going to get to a point towards school districts are kind of fighting over the same 1 or 2 applicants that were there. And I've noticed a real transition from folks that are going from one school district to another school district that are then being pulled from another school district, and I see that problem becoming more and more as the numbers become less and less and less. We emergency certified more teachers this year than I ever have in my entire 10 years at Harrah. And I don't see that trend going away.
That's true in Mid-Del as well. We've just year after year, this is my 8th year as superintendent, and the number of emergency certified teachers that we've had just keeps growing, and at some point as a state we need to address how to refill the pipeline so that people want to go into education as a career. We all chose to do this, and I think with exceptions of certain moments have loved doing this for a long time. And I'd still be proud for my kids to go into education as a career. It's something that has incredible value. It goes back to the fact that we just don't have a lot of traditionally certified applicants coming to us anymore. And if they're applying in Mid-Del, I've got to get them hired before one of these 6 people gets them hired.
Did you see a lot of your more experienced teachers retire potentially during COVID and then didn't come back, and now you're lacking, I guess you would call it kind of a locker room veteran, a mentor, someone who's been doing this for 20 years to help mentor those 52 first year teachers?
In regards to retirement, we had record retirements in Moore this year, and I think part of that had to do with teachers after the teacher walkout, pay raises, and getting their I-3, and most definitely COVID. Beginning of the summer, we were just about fully staffed, and of course in a growing school district, as students continue to come in, we're now fighting and clamoring to find those teachers to be in those classrooms. And so that's where we are with Moore Public Schools.
I feel like there was a mass exodus of teachers, especially around COVID, in regards to just the expectations, right? The burdens that were taken on in addition to pay and honestly, in addition to the political climate. I've had more conversations with teachers about the questions that they get at church, the questions that they get at the grocery store, the clarifications that they're regarded to make or asked to make. It has been a level of pressure like nothing that anybody can remember. And so teachers have gone from being the hero, when everybody was down in COVID and keeping it going, back to the villain. And so people don't want to carry that burden. In regards to the quality of education, I feel like people that step up and come to schools and go through a process to be emergency certified and choose to work in schools, you have a pretty rigorous interview process. We're not just taking people off the street, but if they want to be in schools, before you can teach, you have to develop relationships, right? And so if you want to be there, you're more than likely willing to develop relationships. For me, I've entered into a pretty unique partnership with Teach for America. And so they work with all of my emergency certified teachers, all of my new teachers to provide the same quality training that they prepared their Teach for America Corps with. And so we've really invested in people because relationships and life experience really help when you go into the classroom. And so I think there are some safeguards that you can put in place to ensure content works, but I think I would never insult anybody who decides to come into a classroom and teach by saying that they're bringing a poor quality.
Especially with the supports that we put in place.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Moore
Absolutely.
Public Schools is very much the same way. We spend a lot of money at the front end to retain and build those supports in, and I think we all do that
Yeah.
To a certain
Yeah.
extent. That probably looks very different
Yeah.
in each district. But our goal is to get individuals in the classroom that can teach and develop the relationships and do what they need to do. And Cecilia mentioned, we don't take just anybody off the streets.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you know, you look at the national political business as far as public education, I think there are some states that are looking at some of those different things. And I hope that the state of Oklahoma does not ever get to that point. But we are not, I think I can speak for all of us, we do not pick people off the street just to fill a classroom.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So just because your student may have a teacher who is emergency certified, it doesn't mean the quality of education is lacking.
Absolutely. The supports that we put in place, I mean, honestly, thank goodness for COVID money, right? We're able to train to kind of help us fill this void of certified teachers that are coming out of school that were traditionally trained, if you will. But I mean, I would argue that life experience is a really good teacher that helps people with, like I said, you can't teach anything if you can't build relationships. And people that are coming in that have lived some life, they're much better at building relationships with children. But the other follow-up I wanted to give you, when you said who aren't in classrooms, whenever we are in a situation where we aren't getting teachers through the traditional pipeline, we also aren't getting diverse groups of teachers. And so the amount of people that may look different from a typical teacher, which 85% or 80% of America's teachers are white females, that dramatically decreases because minorities aren't going into teaching. They're not. And so most of the people that I get that either speak another language or are of a marginalized group, they come to me through an alternative route or through an emergency cert. They're not going through the traditional teaching paths.
Dr. McDaniel, the largest district here in the metro, how are you looking right now when it comes to staffing across your district? What's being done to try to fill some of these gaps, and where are you lacking the most?
So I'll give you a couple numbers. One that we're really excited about is we're 95% staffed. Now that means we have 133 vacancies. So when you talk volume, the percentage really doesn't matter. We're looking for 133 classroom teachers right now. Overwhelmingly, the biggest chunk special education teachers. So we're in a similar boat. I couldn't help, just as I'm listening to my partners here, what we don't hear enough maybe is who that teacher is and how creative teachers are and how innovative, and they're problem solvers. And it doesn't matter what the odds against them are, they're always coming through for us. I don't think we hear that enough. But we all would argue that my teachers are the best teachers in the state of Oklahoma. Everybody
Absolutely.
here would say that because we get to see them in action. We get to see them solve the problem. It's not all about academic growth and achievement. It is about that, but it's about taking kids wherever they are and meeting their needs, and our teachers do that better than anybody. They are changing lives every day in every one of our school districts, and they need to be celebrated. Our teachers are phenomenal, whether it's an emergency cert, alternative,
Right.
traditional route. They are changing the lives of our kids and putting them on pathways that, if not for that teacher, kids are, they may not have a chance, but because of our teachers, they do.
And I would also argue that emergency certified teachers are so much more innovative. They don't have a box. Nobody ever taught them how to be a teacher. So they're getting in there, pulling out everything they can figure out, and they start solving things in ways that we've never thought about because they're trying to get the job done. I kind of like the mix up, personally.
I've got a perfect example. We've got a couple, husband and wife. One of the wife was a kindergarten teacher at one of our lower socioeconomic schools, and she was emergency certified, and she's probably one of the best early childhood teachers that I've ever come in contact with. You know, we've got to get back to the old way of thinking as far as where our teachers are and what they do and what they can accomplish, and that starts at the top with our lawmakers and all the way to the top.
And that goes towards, again, why we may have fewer people in
Absolutely.
entering into it, because they see the beat down publicly legislatively, and it's why would I want to do this? We can tell you why. Just look at the smile on these people's faces when we talk about kids. It's all about the kids.
I'm glad you all brought that up, and that's something that we are definitely going to get into. The rhetoric, you mentioned they went from being the hero all the way down to the villain again. How are our teachers feeling right now, and how that is contributing to the teacher shortage? That all coming up on Chronicle State of Our Schools. We'll be back.